Hey guys, welcome back to my channel.
Hi, so these are the supplies that I'm using for today, and I'm so excited.
So let's jump right in.
So here I have my resin all measured out. I'm not exactly sure of the measurements right off the top of my head. I don't remember. I recorded this so long ago. I'm just pouring it in, and then I'm going to mix it up. I use quite a bit of resin because I am making a rolling tray and an ashtray in this video. So I'm just going to scrape out any remaining um, resin that didn't come out of the cup. I like to get all of the resin out, so I'll take a popsicle stick and kind of just go around the sides of the cup to make sure I get as much as I can out. So I'm just doing that right here. Once I have that all done, I'll take this big spoon that I got from the Dollar Tree to mix it up. It's kind of hard to mix this amount of resin with one of those small popsicle sticks, and it makes my hand cramp up. So I got this spoon specific for that purpose, and it works great. I also got a little whisk to use too. I haven't used it yet. I like this spoon because I can kind of scoop it um, if I need to. So I just mix it up, take my time. It's sped up, of course. This is not real time. And then once I have it all mixed up, I like to measure it out equal parts into um, as many colors as I'm using. I'll use that many cups or little medicine cups if I'm only using small amounts. But in this case, I'm using a big amount. So I mixed it into these 3 plastic cups. So once I have it all measured out, then I take my alcohol inks. I'm using the Pinata brand and the Baja Blue and then the black. And then I have some different color mica powders. I have a black and then I have a silver. There I'm mixing the silver mica powder. I have the black alcohol ink and then the blue alcohol ink. For the black mica powder, I'm going to mix it in the black just to kind of give it a little shimmer. So I just give that a nice little mix just to make sure the color is spread evenly throughout all of the epoxy in the cup. I do that for all 3 colors. The blue turned a little green to me and I didn't like it, so I had some other alcohol inks that I was using, so I just added that in. I didn't show that on camera, I don't think. Um, so see, I just added more alcohol ink to that to try to make the color more um, opaque. So now I have all of my colors mixed together. I'm going to go in with my torch to try to remove some of the bubbles that are rising to the surface as the resin sits. I like to let my resin sit and let the bubbles rise and then kind of torch them out. So next you'll see I made this little box, so right there. So that way the tray can kind of hold its shape once I put the resin in and it doesn't get out of shape. I did do a tray that I didn't do this for and it was not square at all. It was uneven, so I decided to put it in a box while I'm pouring the resin so that way it can sit and harden. And once it gets to a little bit hardened, then I'll take it out of the box and let it sit, normally because it's already hard and it already has a shape. So I'm just going to pour in wherever I see. There's no rhyme or reason to this. Once I have all my colors poured, I move it out of the way and move on to the next part of this project, which is another ashtray. So it's going to be the same process as it was with the tray. I'm just going to add my colors in where I want them. So now that I have all the colors added, I just take a little dotting tool and kind of just like go around. As you can see, I'm just trying to make the colors, go together in a nice, cute little pattern. So I'll do that for the entire set. You'll see me bring back the tray once I finish with the ashtray, and I'm going to do the same thing with that. I did let it sit for maybe like 5 minutes um, to kind of settle and help the bubbles rise to the top before I started doing this. Then I go in with my heat torch and kind of just very lightly go over it to help to pop any of those bubbles that are floating to the surface. I don't like to torch it too much while it's in the mold because it will, get stuck on the resin will get stuck on the mold if you put too much heat on it while it's in the mold. So I normally don't use my torch while it's in the mold. I just like to let the bubbles kind of rise to the top, and then I'll take a toothpick or some type of pointy object to pop those bubbles that have um, risen to the surface. One thing I do want to mention is that once you're finished with your mold, you want to make sure it's on a level surface. If not, the resin will flow to whatever side is lower. As you can see right here, the resin kind of flowed to the opposite corner and left that little gap right there that you see. So I decided to do some swirls on the back of this to try to cover up those areas where the resin had ran. So I just took a popsicle stick and made some swirls with the popsicle stick. I did this and I was trying to be very light-handed with it so that way I'm not mixing the colors too much. So I'm just tilting it, trying to get the resin to run and kind of level out, get some of those swirl marks even. So I'll just do this until I like the way it looks, and once I'm done with that, we'll move on to the next step. So this is the next day and the resin had hardened, and as you can see there are still some spaces or some spots on the back of this tray that didn't have enough epoxy to cover. So what I did was I just mixed more epoxy and then I added black to it so that way it can cover the back. So the back of this tray will be black. I did add some black mica powder to this just to give it a little bit of shimmer. So once I have it all mixed up, I'm going to start pouring it just so that it can cover the back up. And I'm going to let that sit, and then I'll do the same thing for the ashtray. Here we are on day 3, and I am so glad to get to this part. This is like so soothing for me. The demolding. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna take it out and you'll see how cool and beautiful it looks on this side. I do add a decal to the tray. This is a tray that was requested for someone for their birthday, and it turned out great. I think it's really cool and it's nice and pretty. Um, so you'll see me demolding the ashtray, and then we're gonna jump into applying the decal. Now here I am. I'm going to weed this decal out so that it can be applied to the rolling tray. I'm not going to put any decals on the ashtray simply because the space is small and there was nothing requested for the ashtray, so I didn't add anything on the ashtray. So I'm just going to cut it out. Again, I always save my scraps because guess what? You can use those for something else. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my weeding tool and weed these out. I did already scrape the back of it, which I always do just to make sure there's no air pockets and I don't lose any pieces in the weeding process that I will need. So it's just pretty straightforward from here. I'm gonna speed it up and let you keep watching. So I'm just going to take some transfer tape and measure out what I need. I'll cut that out and then I'll use the transfer tape to apply the design to the tray. So my customer requested for me to put the date on there. So this is what I'm doing right here. After I apply the date on this tray, I will be adding a thin layer of resin just to cover the design up so that way their design doesn't get messed up when they are using the tray. So I just used an X-Acto knife to get some of those air pockets out that were in the decal. I just didn't want those to show once I put the thin layer of resin. So I'm just getting my resin ready. As you can see, my container, I couldn't get the top off, so I cut the handle to be able to pour the resin out. It was at the end of the jar anyway, so I didn't have to worry about it, being ruined or anything getting in there. Um, so now I'm just pouring the resin over the tray. and I'm going to use a um, silicone like squeegee tool. I don't know what you call this. What do you call this thing? But anyway, I'm just going to use this to kind of move the resin around, make it even, make sure everything is coated nicely and covered with the resin. And then once that is done, this tray will sit for about 12 to 24 hours. And then I will lightly sand the bottom of it. So now that I have this all finished, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So it's all dried and cured. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this old nail file that I have, and I'm just going to go along the edges to kind of make them not so sharp and make them a little bit more smooth than they were. There's no specific way how I do this. I just do it till it's smooth enough until what I think is good enough. I'm pretty satisfied how that feels, so I'm gonna go on to the Ashtray. This is stunning. Like, I really love the way the back turned out, and the front. I think it's beautiful, and I hope the person who requested this loves it. So I'm just gonna do the same thing. So I'm just gonna speed up the video right here, so that way you'll see what I'm doing, but it's not so time consuming because it's pretty straightforward. Again, just go around the edges and make sure they're smooth and not sharp, because right now these are really sharp. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified every time I post another video. Until next time, see ya.